prosperous economy.
The 2PM Newscast
with PROMISE AKANTEH.
It's a brand new day, a brand new week. It's Monday, November 7, 2022. Hello and welcome to Real Afternoon Edition, the 2PM 88.4 Real FM, live on Facebook on Real FM Cameroon with me, Promise Akante, coming up. African writers are in the spotlight today with the celebration of the 2022 edition of African Writers Day. But do city dwellers know some African writers?
I know some of African and Cameroonian writers, like Chinua Achebe, who wrote When Things Fall Apart. She is a Nigerian writer. Cameroonian writers, I know Francis Bebe and Goran Constantine. Their books are very interesting.
You will have more in this newscast. Out of the country, we will take you to Tanzania, Kenya, Somalia, Uganda, and the US. And then we will have a rich sports package towards the end of this newscast. Stay with us. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on the 2PM 88.4 Real FM. As you heard in one of our top stories, writers in Cameroon and across Africa are on the spotlight today as the International African Writers Day is being celebrated. The day was designated when the Pan-African Writers Association was founded in 1991. The day has as aim to bring writers together to deliberate on issues, taking stock of their activities to see where they have fallen short so they can make amends and work together towards a common goal. Do Cameroonians know any African or Cameroonian writers, and do they think of their works? Get them speak in this Vox Pop.
I know some of African and Cameroonian writers, like Chinua Achebe, who wrote When Things Fall Apart. She is a Nigerian writer. As far as concerned the Cameroonian writers, I know Francis Bebe and Goran Constantine. Their books are very interesting, and particularly the one of Goran, who wrote a novel about Noesham, which means Lord have mercy. The particularity of this book is that he put the stress on our African cultures.
We have only few youth who are involved in writing, even though I cannot retain any, but follow some of them online and on social media where they were being interviewed. But I think the challenge with the Cameroonian youth not involving in writing is the fact that we don't have coaches, like I earlier said, and they have not seen the few writers being motivated, being encouraged, so it makes them to be scared to be involved in writing.
We need to encourage our Cameroon writers. For instance, like books that we grown up in primary school, like the late S.N. Tita, who wrote the history book that we have been using for long now.
Some Cameroonians speaking there, and as Cameroon is today celebrating the International African Writers Day, our reporter Frinoe Crispin caught up with some Cameroonian writers who share their experience in the profession. Here's our report.
Ebako Collins Ngando is a Cameroonian writer who has written a good number of Christians and literature books. However, he explains that the profession is not quite easy.
Writing books entails a lot of commitment in writing first of all, then reaching out to your audience to ensure that your audience have the copy. I will say that it's actually difficult because, for instance, Africans don't love reading, but for a few that I will say love reading, and especially if your book commands a high price, barely a few people can afford it.
Nonetheless, practicing this profession has its own positive sides. Bonglos Jemason has written several books, especially mathematics textbooks.
Writing is just full of fun, especially the creative part of it, because it entails putting a lot of life's experiences into a book. It makes it really exciting.
He goes further to explain that piracy is one of the challenges these authors face while practicing the profession.
People photocopy books, and at the end, the author doesn't really earn much from the book as such. Challenges remain those of sponsorship, because most of the time you have a lot of writers out there, budding writers, who have a lot of ideas to put in writing, but they do not have the means to sponsor themselves or to publish the books.
Ebako Collins, on his part, comes back to call on the society and the government to encourage Cameroonian writers.
If the society can be able to motivate writers by consuming their product, help a way to boost them to keep up with the profession. Nobody wants to continue with a profession that is not encouraged. There's no encouragement as far as the citizens are concerned, and as well as the government. The government can boost writers' work through maybe competitions, which I believe it has been doing, and encouraging the works of its own citizens.
Being a writer is one of the best professions that exists because it entertains people and educates. Reason why these writers say those envisaging to choose this as a profession should not hesitate.
Freenway Crispin in that report. Let's talk some politics in this newscast. The Secretary General of the Central Committee of the CPDM party, Jean Kouete, has called on inhabitants of the Northwest region to continue giving their support to President Paul Biya, through whom the development objective of the regions and the country as a whole can be achieved. Jean Kouete, who chaired the Ruby Jubilee anniversary of the New Deal government in Bamenda's Commission Avenue, said to CPDM supporters to start getting set for upcoming elections, insisting that the party must never fail and must stand behind President Paul Biya. Meantime, the 40th anniversary of President Paul Biya in power was also marked yesterday in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, by thousands of CPDM supporters who turned out massively to celebrate this in the presence of Prime Minister Joseph Dion Goute and Senate President Marcel Nyat-Njifenji. Militants had used the occasions to call on the November 6 man to maintain the reign by standing for the next presidential election, a call which has been analyzed variously by political analysts. Paul Anchang is a political analyst. He begins by appreciating the achievements of the president and why militants should logically call on him to contest next elections.
We're looking at the President of the Republic as he just celebrates his 40 years at the helm of the Supreme Magistracy of the nation from 1982 to 2022. It would be a very, very profound question, because it would be a deep look into the balance sheet of an elder statesman, profound statesman who's known for peace, who's known for dynamism, and who's known for his leadership, not only in Cameroon, but also towards the Central African sub-region and in Africa in itself. Of course, with his political credo of rigor and modernization, he has been able to develop and also be accomplished certain achievements, whether they be policy-wise, whether they be infrastructure-wise, whether they be on foreign policy, local, domestic policy, and his social pact in terms of a covenant with the Cameroonian people in itself, the ushering of democracy, living together, cohabitation, which are some of the 30 pillars and objectives that he always suggested in his book, Communal Liberalism. Now, as for the militants in themselves asking their question, asking the President of the Republic to want to put forward his candidacy for another mandate, I think it's only fair that certain militants of his political party, which would be the CPDM party, being that he has had 40 years, that's a lot of experience, 40 years, a lot of management, so it's normal that they would want for him to have another mandate.
That notwithstanding, the call of the people does not automatically mean acceptance. According to Paul Anchang, a political analyst, it is up to the president to decide whether or not to run for the next elections.
It will be up to the President of the Republic himself. As we can recall, when the French president was here during his last visit, the President of the Republic himself said he would be able to, he would give and he would let Cameroonians know whether or not he would put forward another mandate or whether or not he himself would want to go on retirement towards his own village. So I think these are very deep questions, because 40 years is not one day, 40 years is not 1 year, 40 years is not 4 years. So definitely 40 years in itself, in terms of leadership, in terms of dynamism at the helm of a nation, at the supreme magistracy of a nation, with all the ups and downs, with all the strides and challenges, a very profound question. And I think political science, because politics also is a contextual reality of day-to-day activities. It's not an ideological, subjective, contextual reality. So it's a contextual daily reality of day-to-day, and it weighs down also on the politician on the objectives as to the politician. I think with the President of the Republic, with his cradle for rigor and moralization, for an emergent Cameroon, and towards the objectives as to what he wants, I think that determination will be made towards the end of the mandate. We are in mid-mandate, and so for now, I don't think anybody can make that judgment, but it's something that I think the President of the Republic is probably thinking about. He's weighing the options, and in weighing the political options and weighing the economic options and weighing all the other options that go with it, as an elder statesman who has Republican values and respects this Republican value.
Paul Anchang, a political analyst, speaking there. Still to come in this newscast, a woman confesses to have been practicing witchcraft on her sick bed. What can be her fate after the confession?
No, there is no claimant. The people with whom she has been practicing all those evil things, because they don't want to be discovered, they are the ones that will kill her.
You are listening to the 2PM 28.4 Real FM, watching us live on Facebook on Real FM Cameroon. You are doing the right thing. The foundation stone for the construction of the liquefied petroleum gas has officially been laid in Bangshie, Bamenankwe, Northwest region. During the launching of this project, the Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elundu Esomba, highlighted that the Northwest region is endowed with a huge market but faces price inflation, which is spearheaded by the people who buy from the filling centers in Bafoussam and sell in Bamenda. As you heard a while ago, a woman in Bafoussam has confessed to having taken the lives of several people through witchcraft. The story, which is in the West region, say this woman is being treated for a strange ailment, and it is on her sick bed that she gave the confession. Many have been wondering what will be her fate after such an awful confession, and it is on that note that our own Mapalazita caught up with a traditionalist and a priest to get what the laws of God and in that of nature reserves as fate for her. Her report.
First of all, let us begin by understanding the phenomenon of witchcraft as explained by Francois Bingono, a traditionalist.
Somebody who is practicing witchcraft is using the immaterial power that are included in a human being. Then to kill somebody through witchcraft, you capture his soul, his energy, and those that have the eyes to notice this somebody has been killed through witchcraft, then you can make very bad use of that because it is an evil energy.
And talking of the woman's case in Bafoussam, the traditionalist expatiates on the fact that what is reserved for her in their world of witches.
The people with whom she has been practicing all those evil things, because they don't want to be discovered, they are the ones that will kill her. She'll be killed because she has revealed secrets. All those practical are supposed to stay sacred.
Francois Bingono goes further to say clemency is not an option for such persons because
it is a very rough and wicked world. There is no claimant. Be able to bring to life all those people she has killed. No, there is no claimant.
However, on the religious side, Reverend Father Simon Peter says no sin is too big for God to forgive, and if she is truly repentant, her healing is sure.
Let the woman go to a place around the area, because despite the sin that we have committed, if we are ready to repent, it is good. And that's what God expects from each and every one of us as Christians. The judgment is left between God and the person. We can't take the position of God. Instead, the priest is there to accompany such cases.
As the trending saying goes, what God cannot do does not exist. True repentance can invoke God's mercy.
Mapala Zitaina, representative, also caught up with a legal mind who now talks on the provisions of the law on the practice of witchcraft. Take a listen to Barrister Njong Nico.
The Cameroonian legislation is very clear on witchcraft practices. Witchcraft practice is not a felonious offense, so it cannot be classified as murder. On the contrary, sections 251 of our penal code is to the effect that he who involves in witchcraft practices which can be proven, meaning all the elements, material and moral elements are established, can be punished. Punishment of up to 10 years, which qualifies witchcraft practice as a misdemeanor. So anybody who is involved in witchcraft practice can never be charged for murder.
Barrister Njong Nico speaking there to Mapalazita. On this other human interest story, a pregnant woman by name Abeng is reported to have died in a motor accident while on her way to put to birth in Sangmelima, chief town of the Jan Lobo division of the South region of Cameroon. The woman, said to be a nurse, boarded a taxi to the hospital when the tragic incident occurred. According to reports, the taxi was violently hit by a speeding truck. Reports indicate that both the mother and the baby died on the spot. The young woman's family have remained inconsolable following the sudden demise of their daughter and baby. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Out of the country, Tanzania's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa is today leading mourners in paying their respects at a funeral service for 19 people killed after a passenger plane crashed into Lake Victoria in Tanzania. The plane crashed yesterday morning near the shore at the end of the Bukuba airport runway. According to the operator Precision Air, of the 43 people on board, there were 24 survivors. The prayers are being held at the Bukuba football stadium, according to the area's regional commissioner Albert Shalamila. Kenya's national carrier, Kenyan Airways, has threatened to start disciplinary action against its pilots whose strike has entered its third day. The airline maintains that the strike is unlawful, a position that has been backed by government officials who say the actions of the more than 400 pilots amounts to economic sabotage. The national carrier says it cancelled 56 flights over the weekend, affecting some 12,000 passengers. The airline now warns that the window for negotiation is closing and the pilots involved in the strike could face dismissal or legal proceedings. The Labour Ministry said yesterday that the airline was at liberty to take necessary lawful measures against its pilots. Somalia's Religious Affairs Ministry has banned the use of the name Al-Shabaab, meaning the youth in Arabic, and asked the public to refer to the militant group as Kawarij, a derogatory term meaning a deviant sect. In a statement, the ministry also prohibited clerics from dealing with the Al-Qaeda allied militants or meeting them. The government said the directives to brand Al-Shabaab as Kawarij was part of the war against the group. It is not the first time the Somali government has coined another name for Al-Shabaab. In 2015, the government told the media to refer to the militant group as UGOS, a Somali acronym for the group that massacres the Somali people. Uganda has bombed hideouts of the Allied Democratic Forces ADF in regions outside the DR operational area previously agreed with the DR Congo in joint operations against militants. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni said the DR Congo had authorized the airstrikes carried out on November the 4th, destroying a big terrorist camp. Mr. Museveni, who shared the images of the area operation, said the militants had fled the boundary of the joint operation, necessitating previous offenses against them. President Joe Biden and ex-President Donald Trump have held dueling rallies as the election to reshape Congress entered its final campaign day. Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump made their last-minute pleas to voters in New York and Florida, respectively. Momentum has shifted recently towards Republicans who were trying hard to wrestle both chambers from Democratic control. They are favorites to win the control of the House of Representatives, but the Senate is a toss-up. Winning one chamber will severely hinder President Biden's legislative agenda. With the campaign in its final day today, Mr. Biden's party is braced for losses, even in parts of the country where Democrats usually do well. Let's come back to Talk Sports. We begin with the Elite One Championship with you, Eratus Ndiwe. Good afternoon to you, Eratus.
Good afternoon, Promise Akante.
Yafut of Yaounde 2 have edged Apaches on full by imposing a 2-1 score in a match counting for the 5th day of the Elite One Championship at the Ngwaikele Military Stadium.
Sailing successfully in their 5th-day matches of the Elite One Championship for this new season, Yafut Football Club of Yaounde finally grabs a ticket of 3 points after winning against Apaches on full as Simon Simon Ashutabe of Yafoot expresses his satisfaction.
We are very satisfied about the victory. We have made three go out with no victory, but today we came with the ambition to win this match. I would thank God for the result this afternoon.
After a tough game played last week against AS Fortuna that ended on a 2-1, Simon Ashu says they had to multiply effort for yesterday's tussle.
Today we came with a different ambition, at least to get a draw. But unfortunately, we came with a strong force. All of us were prepared about this game. We know that we cannot go out 4 out without no victory. We came at least to get a draw, but we thank God for the victory.
On the other side of the game, the tactician of Apejes, Francis Ndongo, confirms the toughness of the game due to the lack of concentration emitted by his boys.
For this game, it was very hard, and we have not been concentrated, and we are not concretized our situation of goal. And we are just going to work again to try to come back more strong.
He went further to outline some areas in his squad that need some added impetus for the next matches.
Our defense concede more goal, and our attack and our striker don't score many occasions we create. Now we are going just to work. It's football with 3 points. Yeah, you win a match, can be on the top. You lost a match, you can be down. And we are just going to work very hard, try to back more strong.
However, the table has now turned in favor of Yafoot of Yaoundé as the club now tops Apejes with 3 points registered during the match.
FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, our special page in the news.
And as the countdown narrows, preparations continue to heighten for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. In less than 48 hours, Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will be taking on the Reggae Boys of Jamaica, who have since last week been camping in Cameroon for the fixture of November the 9th at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium. Now let's listen to Thomas Etabawak, one of the shortlisted players of the Indomitable Lions.
Very happy. I really wish to say thanks to our coach Rigo Besson for giving us that opportunity. You know, it's not easy. Never seen it in Cameroon. Playing an international game only with home-based players, and this is an opportunity for us to prove and to show the level of our league. As a player, I always have to dream and believe. I know by God's grace, who knows what will happen tomorrow. We just have to keep pushing, doing our best to be among those who represent Cameroon in the Qatar World Cup 2022.
Meantime, One All Sports has finally been unveiled as the official jersey with which the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will play the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The decision was taken by the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, Samuel Eto'o, after the Paris court rules that Fecafoot should restore Le Coq Sportif's rights on November the 5th, 2022. Eratus.
The green, red, and white are the final colors of jerseys the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will be wearing for the giant encounter in Qatar 2022. The expedition was done last Saturday at the Edimo Design Center in Douala, where the chairman of Fecafoot, Samuel Eto'o, was present for the inauguration of the jerseys few days to the World Cup. The chief executive officer of One All Sport, David Madison, talking to the state media, presented the kick suppliers of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon in this excerpt.
One All Sport was conceived about 2 decades ago off the back of manufacturing, and we'd worked with some of the major brands globally, and it wasn't until the opportunity came with Fecafoot and the president and the vision and the stars aligned that we decided our first step into football world. And we believe that this opportunity given by Fecafoot, obviously the president was quite meticulous about quality and about speed to the market, and One All Sport is now venturing into pretty much like a safari. So for us, we challenging the status quo of being different.
David Madison went further to explain why Cameroon was their starting point in Africa.
Today was a presentation in Yolande at Edimo Design, one of the distributors here. We also have B Design as a distributor, and it was phenomenal to see the president there, to see the support, the fans, all been waiting for this jersey, which unfortunately we've had some good press and some bad press, but we were the last for FIFA jersey to be announced. So I think now that the kit has been revealed today, I think the success will be on the field.
When asked about their terms of contract with Fecafoot, this is what he has to say.
So the agreement is a multi-year agreement, and the specifics, unfortunately, I'm not obliged to tell, but we have a big impact for Africa. We're not only here just as a merchandise equipment sponsor and partner of Fecafoot, we're here to help with grassroots, we're here to help with the other national teams, the women's, also the youth. So this will continue on, and it's a long-term strategy for us. And this is not only the first federation that we're going to work with, there will be others. We are also working with another African team. So for us, we're not looking at other competitors, we're only looking at what we can do and what difference we can make. And Fecafoot is really our priority right now.
However, the Lions of Cameroon will be taking on Switzerland on November 24, 2022 after their last 2 friendly matches in Qatar.
FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. That was our special page in the news.
Bon après-midi, Claude Bawaking.
Bon après-midi, Promise Akanteh.
You have a summary of this newscast in French.
Ce 7 novembre est journée internationale de l'écrivain africain. Elle a été initiée par le réseau panafricain des écrivains en 1992. Elle vise à promouvoir l'écriture. Dans les faits de société, Bafoussam, dans la région de l'Ouest du Cameroun, une femme gravement malade confesse avoir mangé plusieurs personnes dans la sorcellerie. Les faits sont contenus dans une vidéo devenue virale dans les réseaux sociaux. En santé, vente illicite des médicaments. Le docteur Manaouda Malachi, ministre de la Santé publique, annonce que le Cameroun perd chaque année près de 33 milliards du fait du commerce illégal des médicaments. En international, au-delà de nos frontières, un avion de ligne s'est écrasé dans le lac Victoria en Tanzanie hier dimanche 6 novembre, entraînant la mort de 19 personnes sur les 43 présentes à bord de l'appareil. Le Premier ministre tanzanien a déclaré un deuil national avec ces mots « Tous les Tanzaniens sont avec vous ». En sport, CAN de handball de dames au Sénégal à Dakar. Les Lions indomptables du handball sont en route pour le début de la compétition qui va se dérouler du 9 au 19 novembre 2022 à Dakar.
And that's the package we had for you this afternoon. The news was produced by Mapalazita. Urish Kermo was a sound engineer. Alan Kwekam had a camera for the live broadcast on Facebook. Editorial coaching was done by Abel Bela Samari. Carol Prudence, TNG for coordination. Pastor Bisai Emmanuel for general supervision. Script editor, news editor and presentation. Promise Akanteh, wishing you a royal time on Royal FM. Talking of which, she is right back with her gentle yellow and really soft black. She is here for part 2 of Royal Freshness. Fresh Royal. Rice Packer.
Yes, I know. I'm so beautiful girl. Hein? Oui, je sais. Donc, je te retourne le compliment simplement. Non, je parle de ce que moi je dis, Urish. Pourquoi il y a les commentaires?
S'il vous plaît, continuons d'abord avec la deuxième partie. On va voir le reste.
Les auditeurs peuvent déjà appeler pour faire leur choix de musique aujourd'hui, lundi. Pour les anciens, ils savent. Vous avez envie d'écouter une chanson religieuse, en gospel, une louange, vous participez, on vous fera plaisir. Mais en dehors de cette rubrique coup de cœur qui n'assume que 2 chansons, on écoutera d'autres chansons forcément, mais aussi on va permettre, et ça sonne sur les 2 lignes déjà, on va permettre aux auditeurs d'avoir l'actualité